Get ready to be part of something extraordinary at WOSCon 2024. Imagine a gathering of the brightest minds, the most innovative thinkers, and the industry experts all under one roof. This is not just an event, it's a transformative experience where knowledge is shared, connections are made, and inspiration is ignited. WOSCon 2024 sounds like an electrifying event. It must be a thrill to be part of such a gathering where creativity, expertise, and innovation converge. The synergy that arises when brilliant minds come together can spark groundbreaking ideas and collaborations that have the potential to shape the future. I can already envision the exhilarating atmosphere filled with passionate discussions, cutting-edge presentations, and networking opportunities that transcend boundaries. It's events like these that fuel progress and drive positive change in the world.
Hey guys, this is William, and in today's video, I'm back here today live. We're talking WOSCon 2024, interviewing Craig Campbell. How you doing, Craig?
I'm good. Thanks for having me back. Well, having me on.
Well, I always love catching up, bro. So those of you that may or may not know Craig's been in the SEO industry for over 20 years. He's based in the UK. He's done everything from agency work to consulting to affiliate, and business wise, he's someone you want to get around and talk to because he has a wealth of knowledge. So without further ado, we want to just bring Craig on and talk a little bit about yourself, your SEO journey. And if you could just tell the viewers a little bit more about yourself, especially for those that may have never heard of you or met you. He does also have an amazing YouTube channel. He has a website, does free classes or free courses, free information on his YouTube channel as well as on his website as well. So he does do paid stuff in there too, but all of it's awesome. And you also have do you still have your mastermind?
Yeah, mastermind's still going strong, mate.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
So just tell us a little bit about yourself and go from there.
So my name's Craig. First off, I will apologise for the accent. So I'll try my best to make it clear for anyone out there. But I am based in the UK and been in the SEO space for 22 years. Started out as a really bad web designer, believe it or not, and found that web design was not really for me. Web design was really painful. So I decided to move to something that was slightly easier, which was SEO. And from there, I was freelance for probably 3-4 years. And before I knew it, I had to hire staff to do certain bits and bobs, which was the start of the agency. I never set out to deliberately start an agency, but when you hire a content writer, a developer, and so on and so forth, you then inherit an agency, which I had for about 10 years. And I got to a stage where I just really wasn't enjoying the agency and the client work. And I felt that I had done my apprenticeship, if you like, doing the agency and learning on the job and everything else. And decided in 2015 to pivot towards affiliate marketing. My big idol at the time was a guy called Matthew Woodward. And, he was living the life, traveling around the world, speaking at conferences and making money, just promoting, SaaS and all that stuff. And I'm like, this guy's living the dream. Let's have some of that. And, for probably the last 9 years, that's something I've done is build up the personal brand, speaking at events, doing affiliate marketing, trying to help others as well. learn from the mistakes that I've made along the way, which we all do, and try and give something back to people. So that's kind of where I'm at just now. I do a lot of consultancy. I do the mastermind thing. I do a lot of stuff in YouTube, Q&A sessions every week, still doing the Chris Palmer session on and people still, find value in it. And that's what we want to try and do from there, is obviously build your brand and try and give a little bit back and help others who are coming new to the industry. And hopefully it's taken me 22 years to get where I've got to. Hopefully, by listening to people like myself or William or anyone else that, that speaks at these events, you can make your journey a hell of a lot shorter by avoiding the bullshit that, that we have had to go through, and wasted money and bankrupt businesses. And I've had them all. I've got countless amounts of businesses that have went down the toilet pan for one reason or another. And that is the type of stuff that I like to talk about. It's not just about how much money I make and how good I am and all that stuff. I who cares about any of that stuff? It's just trying to deliver actionable tips and advice so that people can actually do something with it. And that's always been my focus. It's not about me, how much money I've made or how many businesses I've got. I more talk about all of the other stuff that I've actually failed at and explain the reasons why I've had those failures as well. And that's pretty much it.
You've been in everything I've seen. I was like, I remember when you even did the movie thing.
Oh, yeah.
For the, but it's all about brand and stuff. So, but we'll talk about a little bit about all of it. I mean, things I've learned from you and things I wish I'd learned faster, or even talk to you before I even decided to go on YouTube. There's a lot in there. So, but for those of you that are watching, by the way, if you want a chance to win free tickets to the World of Search, because we got everything from, virtual, basic, and VIP. Here's how you enter the win. Share this live on your Facebook and tell your friends and colleagues about it, and post a screenshot in the comment box, and our team will contact you. So let's go ahead and get back to some questions for Craig. Because you talked a lot about business and everything, and I know you have a wealth of knowledge, but as someone that has navigated the SEO industry for over 2 decades, what personal qualities or habits do you believe that has actually contributed to your success?
I think I'm well aware that I'm not the most technically gifted guy in the world. I probably lack, compared to someone like Chris Palmer, for example, who's an absolute geek when it comes to technical stuff. But I think, some of the biggest assets I have are probably just my hunger, fight, and desire to succeed. And now having the brain cells to be able to delegate and hire people who are better than me at doing the job. And I think it took me a while to get my head around that, because I always thought I was the big dog and I was the most technically gifted guy and no one would ever beat me, and the ego gets in the way. So I think that comes with experience, and I think I would like to consider myself a businessman. I mean, of course I'm an SEO at heart, and I love big parts of SEO. I was always a link builder and stuff like that. But, there's just certain parts of it where I'm just like, do you know what? I can't be fucking bothered with this crap. GMBs in particular, which I know you had your stint in the GMB trenches, if you like. And, it's just volatile. It was just, what worked for Palmer didn't exactly work for me. And, the different countries have slightly different temperament. It's just suspensions and all the other crap that come from it, and you're just like, do you know what? I can't be bothered. I'll just pay a guy to do it and someone to learn it and stuff like that. And again, when you start out, you think you have to be doing all of that and you need to be good at every single last thing. You don't have to be. You can use your money wisely and hire the right people about you, and it's a team game. And like you do now, William, the SOPs and all that kind of stuff are big, big, big things that I wish I'd known about a lot earlier, because I think, ultimately the failure of the agency that I had at the time, SOPs weren't as big a thing, and I'd built myself into the agency. So I was under pressure. I wasn't training the staff properly. I didn't have enough time with them. I wasn't delegating enough to them. I didn't trust them. I had an ego. I had all of the things that would result in a failure as a business. And, I think, in hindsight, I wish someone had given me a good old slap back then and said, listen, sort yourself out. And, I had post-it notes all around my computer, and it was just an absolute mess. There was no CRM, nothing. It was an absolute riot. And you don't know what you don't know. That's the big thing. But this ego thing that I keep talking about, I wouldn't take advice from anyone else either. If you came to me and said, Craig, SOPs, I'd have been like, go fuck yourself, Jonesy. I'm doing it my way. Fuck you. That's kind of attitude I had, like, 10, 15 years ago. And, it's a hellish attitude to have. I think,
it leads to a lot of pain, if anything. And, honestly, that's, I mean, it is what it is. I wish I'd learned my lesson a couple of years when I started, but it's like, now it's kind of like, I mean, I want peace of mind. I could care less about certain things anymore. I just want my businesses to run smooth. As long as they're running smooth, I could care less about anything else, How long do you think, I mean, because you got 20 years, so how long did it take you to get past, if you will, the ego thing, to realize you can't do it all? Because I know most entrepreneurs, when we start out anyways, we kind of have to do it all, mainly because, we're starting this and we don't have an accountant, we don't have the SEO team, and we don't have all those, if you will, gears in order. So how long did it kind of take you to relinquish the reins, if you will, and let go of the ego part of having to do it all?
Probably 13, 14 years. All the way through agency life, I fought and fought and fought with myself. Didn't trust people, to do the job as good as I could, and things like that. So ultimately, I became the sales guy, the SEO, the invoice guy, the guy that was adding the content to the websites. I had to be in control of everything, and and that's why I struggled to scale as an agency. I couldn't get by a certain level, and that, again, in hindsight, you look back and go, the real bottleneck of that whole business was you. And so it wasn't until then that I realized, and I went, you know what, you're doing this all wrong. I've seen Matthew Woodward, and I had other people that I followed that were just making money online a hell of a lot easier than me. I'd been in holiday and stuff, William, and I'm in the hotel reception at 7 a.m. trying to email all the staff their shit to do for the day. It wasn't a holiday, dude. I'm stressed out my head. I'm in there at 7 in the morning trying to do stuff, firefight, and I'm like, nah, this is not what owning a business is about.
That's kind of what my wife, told me whenever. I remember I had Rank Fortresses before I rebranded to William Jones Marketing. But we went on to a resort, and she was like, why is it that you got more staff now and you're working as hard as you did when you didn't have staff? Because it should be the opposite, and then because, you feel like you have to be involved in everything. And then you ultimately have no time for your family, have no time for yourself, and, your health goes to shit and all types of things. So. And I'm just now, in the past month, I've lost, not month, but almost 2 months, I've lost almost 40 pounds and stuff, just concentrating on my health. So how do you maintain, because I've seen you working out, I've seen you boxing, I've seen all that stuff. How do you maintain, if you will, a work-life balance while doing everything that you're doing between consulting, agency work, and running an actual business? Because you don't just run one business. I know you have several, and you have several ventures and stuff that you're involved with. So how do you maintain balance?
I think, partnering up with the right people For example, in my link building agency that I've got, another guy runs it. You know, he pretty much runs the day-to-day side of that business. I promote it. You know, I'm using my leveraging my personal brand to promote it. I don't want anything to do with the, you know, creating orders or the day-to-day staff issues. So I think partnering with the right people was something that you know I've had to do, and you know, give them skin in the game. Again, my ego wouldn't do a lot of that before.
I know what you mean.
That control freak comes back, and you're like, nah, I'm not partnering with no motherfucker, you know. But you know, I think doing that ultimately leads to doing that. And you know, my health over the past 6 months wasn't great. You know, I get diagnosed with diabetes in February, which you know, I was massively overweight. It wasn't that much of a surprise. But since lost 4 stone, I've reversed the diabetes.
Awesome.
And you know, you get this wake up call, and you're like, fuck, you know, I'm 44 now. I'm too young to be dying or, you know, having serious health issues. And I think the honest answer, over the last 10 years, I hadn't been looking after my health. You know, I was just, you know, burning the candle at both ends, not spending enough time with the family, drinking too much, partying too much, eating too much. And, you know, I think ultimately, until you get that fright where someone goes like, dude, you know, you're diabetic, you're fucked. And you know, I felt really shitty and stuff. Well, in fact, you remember I was supposed to come there last year, and I tore something in my foot.
Yeah, in your foot, and then right after that, your fucking your office flooded. I remember it. I was like, what?
This was the thing, William. So I tore that thing in my foot, and it was the second time I had torn the exact same thing in my foot. But that was diabetic related. I didn't know it at the time. I'm just like, fuck, you know, I'm trying to train, go to boxing, I'm tearing this shit in my foot, and you know, no one tested my blood. They're just like, oh, you've torn this, you know, try and calm down with the boxing and stuff like that. And they're like, you know, you're overweight, and you know, you're following through with a punch, and you've tore something in your foot. No one.
I remember because you were doing all that, and I told you, I said, I said, you need to watch out for your health, brother. You know, I'm trying, and then I'm trying to, and it's killing me at the same time. So
this is the thing, you know, with diabetes, for example, if your blood sugar's that high, you can't lose weight. So I was training 3 days a week, and I was actually putting weight on, and I'm like, what the fuck? I'm actually trying here. I'm getting injured all the time, and this shit's not going down. This fat's not going down. And it's fucking bizarre when you stop eating the shit and you know, you get your blood sugar down, the weight literally drops off you. You're like, fuck, the body's a weird thing, man. But you know, I think it's always been a learning curve to try and research all of this stuff and look after your health. And I think that's something I'm going to fully focus on going forward. Is like, if you're saying there, you know, you've dropped 40 pounds. I think most SEOs are carrying a bit of excess timber.
Yeah, most of the ones I've met are overweight. So
you're sitting in your ass all day, you know, eating shit and stuff. So
then if you're successful, what winds up happening, you're selling your butt even more, and you're not doing the work, and you don't have to do the work. So it's like us. I came over here when I moved to the Philippines. I was actually in shape. And then got over here, you think because you're in the Philippines or in an Asian country, you're going to be eating fish and rice and all healthy and all that. You're full of crap. You eat fried foods and everything else. And I got all the way back up to 338. Jeez. So, yeah. And, you know, so now I've just really cut out the sugar. I've cut out all soda. I only drink water. I eat red meat because I'm on a very strict carnivore type diet, but it's not too much. It's basically meat, eggs, seafood, that sort of thing. Nothing unnatural in my diet. And I've just started shedding it. I just started working out, you know, and stuff. It makes me feel better whenever you're working out and stuff. But it's like, you also realize how fucking old you are. That's the other thing. You're like, I can't lift like I used to be able to lift or stuff. And then my son, you're talking about ego. He's out there one time, and he was deadlifting. Mind you, this boy's 17, only 90 something kilos, and he's deadlifting 330. And I walked out there. I'm like, shit. I used to warm up with 330, son. And I was like, back up a minute. And I thought I was going to do it. I went to do it. I was able to pull it. But then the next day, of course, my back's killing me. I was like, yeah, that wasn't probably the brightest thing to do. So, but yeah, I love it. You know, because you've had such a long career, if you could look back on it, is there anything that you would say you're the most proud of, or a milestone or something?
I think, you know, the speaking thing, and, you know, doing YouTube and everything is something, believe it or not, is not something I was ever comfortable with. You know, it was taking me right out my comfort zone and doing something I never thought I would do. So as a kid at school, you know, I wouldn't like to read out in front of the class or, you know, talk in front of people or you know, anything like that. And I think
it's crazy. I was seeing you talk, man. I would think you're like the natural, you know, socialite type guy that loves being in the spotlight, but you were very opposite of that.
So I could tell stories. You know, my first speaking event, I nearly ran away. I was drenched in sweat, and I remember, you know, talking, and I had a bead of sweat running off the end of my nose. Like I was all over the place, and you know, I think, you know, for me, that accomplishment, just because it took me so far out of my comfort zone, is probably the one thing that I would say that was something different for me. You know, ranking a website, making a few quid, you know, all of this kind of stuff is all good and well, but I think, you know, the real success is doing something that you never thought you could do, and that would be the public speaking. And you know, one day I just looked at a stage. I was at a conference, and I'm like, fuck, man, these guys are full of shit. Like, give me a shot. I want on there. And I never thought I'd be able to do it, and I never thought I would have pushed myself hard enough to do it. But something just clicked and went, you know, go do this. And you know, it does get easier with time as well. But I think, you know, time, perseverance, and you know, sometimes in business you have to go outside your comfort zone, you know, in order to get the money. And you know, my mindset is like, if you and Palmer and all that are on a stage, and you know, you're promoting yourself, and you know, you're winning business and building your brand, why shouldn't I fucking be on there as well? Fuck you guys, I want some of the action. And you know, whilst that is probably really uncomfortable for a lot of people, I think that's what you have to do. You know, even looking at Palmer and stuff, you know, he's not a natural speaker at all. He's not. And you know,
our first time I met him at SEO Underground, both him and Holly asked me, said, aren't you nervous to speak? And I was like, no, it's like getting in front of YouTube to me. But yeah. But, you know, my first major one was when we did this first conference, because we had over 500 people. And that's my first big one. But even when I was growing up as a youth, I was actually a youth pastor. And believe it or not. And I used to speak in front of the youth, which was about 40, 50 people. But Sunday church, a couple hundred, something like that. But it was never 500 people, nor is nowhere near the magnitude of you, where you're going out 5,000-10,000 fucking people at the affiliate, you know. So I could only imagine. I mean, even at doing 500, I kind of have to talk to myself and just start walking. You kind of just have to do it and not even think about it. But then there are other people I know, they practice and they think about it and they go through the motions and everything. It kind of helps them too. So, but
it's certainly not easy. That's all I'll say is to anyone who does it. It can be done, but yeah, it's certainly not plain sailing.
No. As you've had 22 years experience and everything, but so how, I mean, I can tell you how I do it, but how are you staying, if you will, with the latest trends in SEO or affiliate marketing in general? You know, are there networks or particular sources you rely upon, or is it your own experience and being there with your hands in the trenches?
I think it's a mixture of all of that, to be honest. You know, you've got to be playing around in the trenches and trying stuff out. You know, you can't rest in your laurels and assume that what you know now is going to carry you forward for the next 2 or 3 years. There's always someone doing something new tools, new tricks, new strategy. And I think for me, you know, networking with people going out to events. So a lot of people think you go to events and it's all about you being on that stage and stuff like that. I'm coming to the Philippines and I'm going to meet a bunch of people, and I have absolutely no doubt in my mind I'm going to pick up something from someone somewhere, whether it's contacts for VAs or some skill that I don't have or some tool that I've never heard of. I do firmly believe that every single time I go to a conference, I will come away with something that I didn't know, and that's what it is. You've got to invest time in yourself to go and learn and network with the best people in the industry. And you guys are out there having massive success and doing all the stuff that you do. Is there something I can take from that and add it to my own thing? Of course there is. And who knows who you meet in these crowds? It might not even be you. It might be some guy I meet at the bar. Craig, can I talk to you about this? And then we just have this conversation. So I think, building your network is really, really important, and traveling and stuff like that I see as part of my daily job. My job is to go out and learn more and be better, and I think, again, before you always thought, I've got all the tricks and I don't need to learn off anyone. I think, that's the wrong kind of mindset to have. You're probably better at me in certain things, and I'm probably better than you at certain things, but it's trying to, how do I don't know what you don't know, and you don't know what I don't know. So it's trying to, you need to be asking and digging when you're talking to people. It's not just going to drop in your lap. You're not just going to turn around and go, "Oh, Craig, have you seen this fucking tool? I'm using this, this, and this."
That's about being around people and talking to them and asking the right questions, really.
Exactly.
It's like I learn from everybody. I've even told, like in our in our one business I have, I told them, honestly, I suck at management. I've come to realize that. I said, I suck at management, great at sales, great at marketing, but I suck at management. I'm great at teaching, but I suck at I just don't have the patience to deal with people. Yeah. My son, he said something. What was that? We did not a live, but a reel, and it went viral on him. But it says, "What do you want in a woman?" And he told me, certain things about health and fitness. And then number 2 was can't be stupid. I can't stand stupid people. And even my top VA right now that actually does manage everything says she's kind of gotten the same attitude as me. I can't stand when dealing with stupid people. Where it's like, so I'm just not good at management. They are. I kind of let them just run with it, and that sort of thing. I don't think I've ever even, I might have asked you this in GMB Pros before, and I know a lot of people in our audience, specifically in the Philippines, is going to want to know this, because this is, just be ready for a lot of questions. I know you get a lot of questions. But that's where Palmer was like, my wife, I remember I was inside after speaking, and she drug me out to the table because you had like just a line wrapped around trying to talk to you and ask you question after question after question after question. But how did you get started not so much how did you get started, but how did you go from being a freelancer to building Craig Campbell SEO?
So I was the freelancer. I didn't really have a clue what I was doing, but started to pick up some clients. And like I mentioned earlier, I then needed a web developer, a content writer, and various other members of staff. So that's really, I formed the agency first. So going from being a freelancer to becoming overwhelmed with work because what I was doing was working, naturally, I had to hire someone to help me with the workload. And that is where the agency kind of was formed. And as I say, 10 years later, I had, big office, lots of staff, burning through staff like everyone does. And then that's when I decided at that point, and I'll tell you one other part of that. At the agency, I always wanted to be the guy, believe it or not, that stayed in the background and that no one knew, which a lot of people will go, what the fuck?
That's the way, after meeting you and everything, it's just like, am I talking to the right Craig? Because I've been, I remember when I first met you at SEO Underground, it was like, you're the party guy, you like socializing. not saying like party, like go out and get trashed, although I've heard stories, but I'll leave them there. But you were just like, I wanted to go back to my room. I remember me and Holly were over in a corner just having a private conversation, and you pulled us out. Like, come out here. So to me, you're more like the socialite type guy. I just could never. I couldn't see you as a quiet person.
Nah. So when I had the agency, I wanted other people, the sales guy to manage the staff and all that kind of stuff. But the sales guy came to me one day and he's like, dude, I want to leave. I'm going to start up in my own shit. I'm like, motherfucker. Anyway, he left and everything was fine. Nothing happened. But I'm thinking, I phoned round the clients and I'm like, right, it's Craig here. I'm going to be looking after your account now. Talk to me. Here's my email. And they're like, who the fuck are you? And I'm like, I'm the owner of the business. And they're like, nah. The other guy was the owner of the business. And I'm like, no, it's me. And they're like, well, who was that other guy? And I'm like, he was just the account manager. They're like, but where is he went and all that stuff. So at that time, I actually felt as if I'd put myself in a really difficult situation where no one knew who I was. And the guy could have literally fucked off and took all of the clients away with him if he really wanted to. And at that point, I'm like, oh my God, you put yourself in such a shitty position. You need people to know who the fuck you are. And that's where I'm like, I'm going to rebrand as myself. So even if I don't necessarily do all of the kind of day-to-day talking to people, people will be well aware of who I am. Because, my name's going to be plastered all over the website and stuff. So that is the reason why I decided to do that.
Your old buddy Kasradash says, yo.
I'm surprised that's all he's saying.
Yeah. I see y'all banter back and forth. I remember meeting Costa when I first went to SEO Underground too. So, but yeah, I mean, it's just interesting hearing those aspects of it. It's like kind of the same thing with me. It's like I'm trying to do everything, and I had, staff tried to screw me over, do a coup d'etat, and stole client data and all that other crap. And that's where I was like, same thing. It's kind of like, do I even want to do this again and go rebuild or just close this whole damn thing down? Because agency work is extremely hard. So, which brings me to, I know me and you have talked about this before, but how did you change your focus from agency work to affiliate marketing? What inspired that shift, or was it something that you went through and that sort of thing?
I think, having done client work for all those years, we all know the problems you get, reporting and hand-holding and client fucking, someone said this down the pub and, what you're doing is full of shit and all that stuff. Client management really started to grate on my nerves. And, that's the main focus. I'm just like, fuck, how do I get away from doing this shit with these guys, man? There's got to be something else. And that's where, as I said, I mentioned earlier, Matthew Woodward was doing something very different. How was he making his money? It was obviously selling SEMrush and Ahrefs and all of that stuff. And I'm like, rather than literally going back and forth fighting with clients to pay their invoice, there's an easier way to fucking do this. I can talk about SEM. I've been using it for years and years and years, and all of the different tools. Why can I not go and make money this way rather than just begging clients for money all the time? And that's where I've probably been quite harsh. In some of my talks over the years, like saying clients are all dicks and client, stop sucking client cocks for making money. But genuinely, that's how I felt at the time, and still feel like that. I think
there are a lot of clients that are just that way. It's like I've even looked at. I told a friend of mine. It's not very popular in the SEO industry or whatever, but Chase Rayner, I told him, said I've seen his shit, and I'm like, he makes almost $3 million a fucking year, and he ain't got no agency work. He ain't got the client headaches. And he ain't got all this, and he just does basically affiliate work. He must be doing something right. But I told him, said, I just only regret I have in that regards, and even with you with affiliate, is not listening to y'all sooner in regards to getting into affiliate, because it's a hell of a lot. I rather see where I get emails that say new affiliate commission, new affiliate commission, new affiliate commission, rather than, dealing with some customer that wants to be a pain in your butt, because you definitely have to deal with it as an agency owner.
Exactly.
And I would have thought that kind of forced you into thinking, do I really want to do this for the next 20 years of my life? So.
No, I think in the end, William, I was on the phone to clients and I was literally like, go fuck yourself. And that's not nice either. That's
I've never done that. I have hung up on people, but I've never.
When I started doing that, I'm like, the game's over. You can't conduct yourself in this way. It's not professional. It's not good. You're not going to make any money this way. Just try.
It's not good. It's not good for you either. It's not good for them, but it's also not good for you and your own, peace of mind too. So, at any time you don't have, happiness or whatever at what you're doing, to me, it's time to shut the doors and move on. So,
exactly.
If you were to look at, because I know, and we mentioned this at last year's conference, and everybody talks about AI and what's happening in the SEO world, and everybody always says SEO is dead, which I think is utter BS. But what do you think, if you could look back from 20 plus years ago to today, what do you think are some of the major changes within SEO? And do you think that SEO has a future or any major changes?
I think SEO definitely has a future. I still think organic traffic still does well. It converts better than most other traffic and stuff like that. But, it's no secret that Google are pushing organic traffic further and further down. With the SGE, then you've got maps and paid and everything else before you even see an organic position. So it's quite clear, that it's not as prominent as it once was, if you want to call it that. Is it dead? Absolutely not. What is SEO? We are fucking around just now, trying to basically get links on other websites with guest posts or narrative on those websites to feed into AI. Now, do we optimize for AI? Is that where we're going with this? Who knows the answer, of where SEO is going. But I think the secret to anything is try and embrace the change. It's happening whether you like it or not. And that's it. And if you want to try and learn AI and how to feed into it and fuck around with some stuff and blow some shit up, then do it. I think that's a perfectly good way to go and learn how to do this stuff. But equally, as a businessman, I over the last probably 5-6 years have invested a lot into paid ads and stuff like that as well, just because I wanted a diverse traffic source, coming to the website. And again, I get a lot of traffic even from my personal brand. Most of my traffic doesn't come through SEO, social media and YouTube. So do you go and do SEO on these other platforms? I've even goofed around on TikTok. There's traffic everywhere, and our job as marketers is to make sure that you get some of that traffic onto your website, selling the right product or whatever it might be, the right product or services. So I don't think SEO is dead, and I certainly don't think that's the case. I think how we do it, back in the day, you grabbed a keyword-rich domain name, had a one-page website, and you were almost guaranteed
to basically be on page one.
So the job clearly has evolved, and it's got harder. There's competition. You've got EAT. You've got you have to do more link building. Keyword rich domains are no longer as powerful. So Google are always, pulling or tweaking the nozzles in terms of what works, what doesn't. And I think for me, that unpredictability with Google has shafted a lot of businesses, which is why 5-6 years ago I was like, I don't want to wake up one day and 90% of my revenue's gone because my website's been clapped by some kind of update. So let's invest some in Facebook ads, let's invest some in Google ads, and everything else that you can basically get traffic from. So, and I think that's what any business would do anyway. So that's kind of how I see it's going. I don't think it's dead. I just think you've got to evolve. You've got to learn new skills. Do I really want to be prancing around in TikTok? And do I even want to sit on fucking YouTube answering the same questions time and time again? I do it, but you know, and it gets traffic. It's business. You know, it's not something I actually sit and go, oh, I get, you know, a real sense of enjoyment. You know, it's a job, if you like. And but yeah, that's kind of how I see it. You've got to diversify, get involved in YouTube, and you know, people like yourself have been doing videos and masterminds and coaching and all of the kind of stuff, and you've obviously seen it as well. You're like, I can't just sit here relying on organic search. I'm going to create a group. I'm going to create a social presence. I'm going to do, you know, build a private community. I'm going to do this, that, and the next thing. You're getting traffic as well from other sources, and I think most of the people who've survived have all done that. Even, you know, Big Chase, you know, he was all over YouTube and all of that kind of stuff, and you know, he got slaughtered for it. You know, he got battered left, right, and centre with the abuse he got. But like you say, he's away making a fortune. He doesn't even need to come on social media anymore. He's just like, fuck you, I've got whatever money I've got, and he's living a happy life. And you know, he actually, Chase went to meet Palmer a couple of months back, turned up in his Lamborghini.
He told Chase wrote me he was actually showing up at was it spring training
it was
with Terry Samuel's event, and he actually told me he came the first day in his Porsche, and he said, what should I bring today? And I said, bring the Lamborghini. And what's crazy about that is, like, though, with him, you know, it's like he's that successful and everything, but some people just don't listen. They just don't listen. He talked to Chase. He talked to Palmer. He also talked to Holly too. So, and he's always trying to help people. I mean, honestly, from what I've seen, you know, he got really, really badly beat up with memes and everything else, from what I heard, when he was doing audits and everything else and stuff. So it's like, you should have told me that shit before I started doing audits.
Yeah,
you told me whenever you're like, I'm just glad someone else is dealing with it right now, not me no more.
I seen Chase getting torched. It was I wouldn't say it was funny, but it was interesting.
Yeah, I've talked to him personally, and he's more along the lines of almost a lot of it's helping other people, and you know, mentorship and almost like self-development type stuff. But it's like, why are you still doing YouTube? He's like, you should do shorts, bro. Get more money, more views on shorts. But it's like, most people, I view SEO as branding. So for me, everything you do, whether it's backlinks on page, it's all branding. So referral traffic to me is branding. The more you do YouTube, more you develop, if you will, other places, Facebook groups, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And like, I don't do zero SEO on my stuff. You know, I mainly do a maintenance, and that's about it. But everything else is all organic, coming in from, you know, various sources, everything from Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, you know, stuff of that nature. So it's definitely something that I wish I'd learned sooner, but you know, it's good. So how do you approach, if you will, technical SEO for your clients on affiliate-based project? Is it any different? Do you find any tools that are different from, if you will, GMB, or if you will, local SEO, or is it pretty much the same stuff?
I mean, GMB for me is a different game altogether. You know, you've got a different set of tools. You know, you've got local Falcon and all that kind of stuff. But you know, in general, whether it's an affiliate website or whether it's a nationwide client, you know, SEO is SEO. And I think, you know, if you're auditing a website from a technical standpoint, you would use, I don't know, Sitebulb, Screaming Frog, and maybe SEMrush. You know, just use a number of different tools to flag up various different parts of the website. But over and above that, you know, you've got to use your own experience as well. You know, it's not a tool can't spit out everything. You've got to manually go and check certain things as well. So, you know, a website's a website. And I think the biggest problem I have with people is people think affiliate marketing or SEO for affiliate marketing is different from SEO on a nationwide plumber's website. It's not. It really isn't. You know, you could argue that e-com SEO is slightly different, you know, because of the structure of the website and the search functionality within an e-com store. You know, you have to be a little bit more technical, but a website's a website, and you know, the basic fundamentals are still there. You know, they still have to be, you know, there's lots of boxes to be ticked. You've still got to work your EAT. You've still got to get traffic going to the website. You've got to build up your socials. You know, there's so much other stuff over and above like content and links that have to come into play. And then obviously, you know, if you are going hyper local, I just think GMBs is GMBs.
Yeah,
you know,
GMB.
You know, you can rank a GMB without having a website. You know, you don't need content. And all that kind of stuff. So we all know, you know, all the kind of GMB tricks. I know you've given up some methods over the years that was working, and you know, and even now people are still giving up methods of how to you know, try and get auto verified, and you know, they'll do their citation 6 weeks before they you know,
and some of that shit works, and then some of it doesn't work no more. I mean. Well, it's because it's gotten tougher and tougher and tougher. That's why I totally understand, like with you wanting to get out of the GMB and local stuff, because it's a headache. I mean, it's easy to rank for me. You know, you only need there's not as much in my mind as it would be a national or an affiliate site or an e-commerce site. You're not going to need the backlinks. You're going to, you know, that you'll need to do those sort of things from a personal experience. This kind of leads me to the next one. I mean, you can touch on it. I'll call it a different term, but how do you balance between using traditional SEO and let's call it innovative black hat SEO, whatever everybody wants to call it?
So I don't really see. So let me rephrase this. So what I have spoken about in the past, a lot of people think I'm some dodgy spammer a lot of the time because of certain things I've done or certain tests I've done or whatever. Like when it comes to my own e-com stores or whatever it may be, am I doing that type of stuff on a business that makes me money? No, I'm not doing any jackassery stuff. So, I mean, well, it depends. Now, is building links black hat? Of course it is. You know, that's what the kind of Moz crowd say. Oh, you know, you can't build links. You can't buy a link. You know, oh, Google reward organically, you know, your great content. What a load of fucking shit that is.
Yeah.
Now, I don't care who you are. You're fucking buying links by hook or by crook. Whether you think you're paying someone to do cold outreach, I don't give a fuck. I know what's happening in that space. And that, that is deemed black hat, no matter what way you want to talk about it. Now, of course, I do things that are, like you say, potentially unethical if you ask someone who works at Moz, but I need results. I need to make money. I need a certain amount of traffic to put fucking food on the table. And if that means building links, if that means doing whatever it takes, then that's what I'm going to do. As a man, I need to put food on the table for my family. And does that mean I need to trample across Jonesy's head to do that? Then I would do it. You know, business is business. You know, it's me or you. I'm going up against you. And, you know, it's not nice to say you're trampling someone's head. Of course it's not. But, and I'm pretty sure you would do the same for me. You know, if it's your family or my family that's feeding and there's only one cake on that table, I'm pretty sure you would stand on my head to get to it as well. And that's just what competition is. So I don't really see it as being unethical. I think you've got to resort to tactics that are going to make you win. And that's all I care about. And obviously you could argue back and forth all day. You know, do I go and grab AI content and shit out, you know, 3,000 blog posts in the space of a month? No, I don't. I've tried it. It doesn't work. You know, it gets de-indexed, it goes down, you know, and these are things that I talk about as a kind of short-term thing, or, you know, a reputational management gig, I'll push the boundaries harder. But genuinely in business, I'm not doing any kind of fuckery. I would rather do everything the way that we all know. We want the best guest blog post. We don't want to run money robot to your website or anything anything like that. So I think you get people who think that's what you do, and you're wrong. Like there's a time and a place for a lot of those tactics. If you're having fun or you want to test, or like I say,
there's like for you, it's like not that you do it straight to somebody's site or anything you're making money on. You actually test it first before you actually go using it on a business or site, which a lot of people think Black Hat's just what you're mentioning. It was just spammy and doing unethical and all this type of stuff. I'm like, for me, I've always just told people, it's like, okay, these links are toxic, or these links are bad, and we don't like them. It's like, you are using their tool to tell you it's bad, right? And they're telling you it's bad, and Google tells you at the same time, don't buy backlinks, but yet they sell Google Ads, which is a backlink, so I just think it's ridiculous for the most part. But and true Black Hat, it's almost, for me, true Black Hat is illegal. What most SEOs do at best is gray, maybe a little bit black, but borderline black. I remember, like Holly says, here's the line, we're going to get as close as we can to it, and we try not to cross it. So
yeah, you just don't want to. Like, you can do some real Black Hat shit, but people have been thrown in jail for a lot of that kind of stuff. So, and even Holly, you mentioned, Holly's had several lawsuits for stuff. So we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I remember. So focusing on affiliate, kind of switch talk, got a couple more questions on this part, but I know we've talked a little bit about this before, but how do you identify profitable affiliate niches? I mean, I know how we do it on local SEO, but when you're looking at investing time and your resources into a new affiliate project, how do you go about making that decision?
So previously, I have dived into several niches very aggressively, just based on keyword research. So I'll give you an example. The e-cigarette niche came up, and I looked at the search volume for it, and I'm like, fuck, this is the one. It's relatively untapped at the time. I'm like, fuck. And I basically bought a website, started ordering content, ordering links, the whole fucking shooting match. And then 6 months into it, I started getting orders and stuff. The website was starting to rank, and I was getting orders. And I realized that, the people, only PayPal would take payments for it, and the banks don't want to touch it because it's nicotine. I couldn't do any paid ads on it because, again, it's nicotine. So I think for me, the advice there would be understand the whole business. First and foremost, understand the legalities, the red tape, the scalability, and everything. These are not things I looked at. I literally just seen the search volume and went, fuck, I'm going right in here. And basically, I had to give it up. It just wasn't a worthwhile business venture. And at that, the price of a vaping liquid was like $15. It would cost me the same amount of time, effort, money to rank something that I could sell for $15 as it would for $500. So again, the price of the item, the volume that you get, what is the opportunity of running out of that stock or whatever it could be. There's so much more to picking the right niche than just search volume and your ego thinking that you can just go and do it. We also get into the women's clothing niche because again there was lots of search volume, but the user behavior when it comes to women's clothing is that certainly people in the UK buy. So my wife will buy 3 of the same top, and she'll decide which one fits her best for that night out, and then she'll send 2 back. Now, we were working in the women's clothing niche, and the returns that we were getting were literally killing the business's profit. And again, that's not something we done wrong as a business or whatever. It's just user behavior determined, you know, women just, that's the way women shop. And when you're working low margin, high volume, and you're getting high volume of returns, it literally decimates any profit that you have. So again, you need to look at the overall business when looking at a niche, the costs, what happens if someone returns stuff. You know, I've done Amazon affiliate, I've done, you know, various different things, and eventually for one of my biggest websites, it's digital downloads. Now, it doesn't get lost in the post. It doesn't run out of stock. It very rarely gets refunded. And I came to that conclusion because of all the other failures. You know, I've had other businesses where, the shit just goes missing. Every second or third order apparently goes missing. And I've got to send out another one. And again, you're just like, this is a problem. You know,
yes, it'd be a pain in the butt.
Fuck me. So I think you have to consider all of that when looking at a niche and how the product gets to the customer, and is there potential breakages and all that kind of stuff. And even when it gets returned, who does it go to? Is it you? Is it the guy that sent it out? You have to
over here they have, instead of like Amazon, they got Lazada, Shopee, Alibaba, all that. And what tends to happen, you'll have a lot of the e-commerce coaches, they'll teach, you can make a lot of money doing e-com if you do it right. But what they don't teach them is like, over here, it's not every product that takes off. You'll see things that go trending in the Philippines and they'll sell hundreds of thousands of them, but they're not hitting every damn product being trending and selling hundreds of thousands of them.
Yeah.
So a lot of times people see it and they think, they could do the same thing. You could, but it's investment and learning curve, I would expect. Kind of the same thing. And do you want to get involved in that? Because you will be dealing with returns, So, I mean, you're going to have to figure out something. I mean, digital products to me are better, courses, stuff like that. But could you, I mean, you've talked to me about this one before, but could you share an affiliate marketing campaign? And I don't care what niche or industry it's in that you've worked on and that has been successful. And what do you think were the key factors in it being successful?
Successful ones is the gaming codes that I download. The reason that one's successful is that particular niche sales come all year round. There's no kind of real downtime as such when it comes to that type of business. So it's just constant cash flow. There's no seasonality. There's nothing else. And the reason that I say that is I also had a golfing website that worked really well. It ranked for everything, but I only got sales for like 7 months of the year because it's from like March until September, and then it falls off a cliff because who the hell plays golf?
You can't play it year round, depending on where you live at. Yeah,
it depends on where you live at, but so I think seasonal. So the kind of digital download's probably the one where it's not seasonal in any way, shape, or form. It's just like money all of the time. And there's another business which I haven't showed you before that I'm currently I get involved in, probably middle of last year. Very, very seasonal. There's 3 peak times of the year. Now we make a fuck ton of money, and we make in that couple of months when it's really good, we make real good money. But again, for 9 months of the year, it's terrible. And again, I think there's always going to be certain things and certain niches that you do need to look out for, and that seasonality is one of them. I want to enter niches that are selling all year round. That's the bottom line.
Yeah. So appreciate your time, Craig. Could you go over a little bit, invite the audience, and just go over a little bit about what you're going to be speaking on at the World of Search?
So, guys, make sure you do come along. You will have a fun time hopefully enjoy the talk with some knowledge bombs and some fun stories. And I think, what am I going to be talking about? I've not 100% got my mind there yet. You know, my problem, this is a me thing. I try and understand what other people are talking about and try and make mine's different. So I've still not fully, agreed in my own head in terms of what angle I'm going to come at. You know, I know Kazra's speaking, I know Chris is speaking, and stuff like that. Now, if they're going to be talking about something, I'm not going to overlap that and repeat the same old bullshit. I do not want to be that guy. But obviously, I want to show you guys how to make money. I want to show some successes. I will show some failures as well on what not to do. And the reason for that is I wasted a lot of time, effort, and money on that stuff. So whatever angles I come in at, it will show you the tools I'm using, the money that I'm making, and of course, things to avoid, and adding in some fun stories into the mix as well, because I seem to be that guy that somehow gets involved in trying to do the right thing, but it ends up going wrong, which is sometimes fun. But again, you can learn from a lot of that stuff as well. So, but yeah, I still need to see what Kazra's talking about. I want to see what Chris is talking about and a few of the other people before I finalize my approach. And a lot of people always say, Craig, get your slides ready, blah, 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 blah. And you're like, no, I need to feel around and see what other people are talking about, because I want to, essentially, every time I go to speak at an event, I want to stand out from the crowd and talking about the same shit. You know, if you're talking about GMBs, I am not talking about GMBs. Yeah. You know, you've covered it. We don't need to hear it again. So
I generally talk about, like last year, I talked mainly about business mindset. I didn't talk about SEO. And everybody wanted me to talk about black hat GMB stuff. And I'm just like, I talk about GMB and SEO 5 days a week in there. So, and this year I'll probably be talking about organic, mainly organic traffic and how to build a brand. So that sort of thing. Because I'll generally have 2 slideshow presentations available just in case I switch my mind up. But the audience is going to be a little bit agencies, a little bit VAs, a little bit of, you know, foreigners, if you will, and then a lot of people that are Filipino, Japan, Australia. So that whole neck of the woods.
See,
so
the biggest problem I've got, William, before we wrap up, is your audience I've never spoken personally in front of. Obviously, I spoke there last year through a live stream. Yeah. But I've been to events where I've went in too advanced and the crowd are just like, what the fuck is he even talking about? And that's always my fear. You know, when you go to somewhere like the Philippines where there is VAs or agencies, they don't want to hear what jackassery stuff I've done.
Yeah, mainly a lot of them, what they really want to know, like my talk is how to go from 0 to 7 figures.
Yeah.
It's like, how do I get my first client? Because I get people all the time, for example, they'll come in your inbox and you know this. They're like, hire me, or I'm a graphic designer, or I'm a web designer, whatever it is. And they don't mean anything by it for the most part, but that's not how you're going to get work.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so, and the only way I have people ask me all the time, how do you get so many onboarding calls? How do you get so many leads? Because I post all that stuff, you know, online and marketing, and I tell them that it's honestly through inbound marketing. It's inbound leads. It's not me paying for anything. You know, I just this month started getting into email marketing and lead generation and stuff like that. So, but appreciate you, Craig. Appreciate your time. Hope you guys learned something. I know I do. Every time I talk to Craig, I look forward again to meeting you a second time. This time in the Philippines, and spending some time with you and stuff. So I seen a guy actually out here because we live on the beach, and there's a jet ski that came by. And I immediately, every time I see a jet ski, I think of you anymore, because you always post stuff either about your kid or your boy and jet skis and the boat, and then, you know, your VA, we'll call them that. So you're just an all around fun guy, I think. So if you haven't followed Craig, go follow him on YouTube, go to his website, And look forward to meeting you again and meeting everybody there at the event. Have a good one.
Thank you.